Meeting is called to order. All members are present. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we are at the public comment. Claudia, I assume you I want to just see if anybody online will do this. If there's anybody online, there are 2 folks attending today. And if you have any public comment, please raise your hand. You may do that in the interim. Claudia, who is present, do you have any public comment?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Way, I should say.
You can call me Claudia.
Yeah, I
Trust
know,
me,
but
you're
we're
gonna get to know me
so-
really well.
don't
First
know.
of all, Carl, thank you for speaking at my uncle's service. That was very nice of you to take your time out. Uncle Cabby, my uncle
Oh,
Claude.
geez, I didn't know that. Right. I did.
Yes, I am his namesake. Supposed to be a boy, but didn't happen, so
Okay.
I got stuck with Claudia.
So just let me just back you up a little bit. So this was the Historical Society basically posthumously recognized Claude Cabby Zani or Zani?
Either.
Yeah, who died in World War II. He was in the Air Force and a student at George Washington University. Martin? Yes.
Yep, Brett Martin.
Brett Martin.
You got a good memory. You're not
Oh,
shot yet.
It was last week. I would hope. So
Yeah, wait to get my age.
did a well, he researched the family and put together a document that kind of talked about the whole family and the life of the Zannies and the life of Claude and a lot of that. And then was recognized at George Washington. He got into a specific program, and you can add more detail to this, but those kids who found a World War II veteran, that was their assignment, actually were able to go to the gravesite
In
and this one
Normandy.
in Normandy
Yeah,
and give a eulogy at the gravesite.
it was really neat. Yeah.
Did you go?
No, I wish, if I wish I could have.
So it was just a whole ceremony, and it was pretty incredibly well attended. And
He worked a long time on that.
yeah, I mean, the college kid from Clinton
Yeah,
on top of it. I'm like, and you know, he couldn't, I don't know if he just couldn't find anyone in Clinton or anything like that.
yeah, that's what he said. So we
But
lucked out.
it was really neat, I thought. Anyway, that's
Yeah,
a tangent.
It was, yeah. Anyway, okay.
Yep.
So how are we doing on the pond
Okay.
thing?
Do you have any comment? And
I will after you tell me something.
So, I had our inland wetlands person go look, and she has no issues with the fence that they put up. And she said, that the wood barrier, it's not, she said, basically it's an accumulation of what's fallen. She didn't find a violation, up there. And that was what I thought was my best effort to, if there was a violation, because I believe you informed me that previously DEP enforced a fence.
It's illegal. It's not the proper
Okay,
footage from the pond. This
Okay.
told me that.
okay.
It's, so I don't know what
So-
rule book she's reading, but,
She's right upstairs. Her name is Lynette Wacker, okay?
oh, she's in this building?
Yes, she's in land use,
Oh, okay.
okay? As far as Mr. Dean, I had a conversation, that's the other property on Bochum Road that there was a complaint about.
Yeah,
I spoke to Lisa Dean today, and
who's that?
someone who owns the houses with him. That there are 3 Deans on Bochum Road. So what I did is I sent a letter and I addressed it to Alan at all 3 houses, just to make sure he gets it, okay? He did receive it. She confirmed that for me. The letter basically says, we're done. No, hear me out. I'm sending them a letter as a notice. After this, it gets turned over to an attorney who's in New Haven for enforcement. And when you want to start negotiating, it's not going to be with me. It's going to be with a lawyer that we've hired to do this, not the town attorney. Okay, so I'm using a different attorney on these blight. So
Wait a minute, what about Rob Rimmer?
Rob Rimmer is a blight hearing officer. He is not the blight enforcement attorney. That's a statutory requirement to have a blight here. Why? What do you? Different role in the blight process. That's all it is. You have to have an independent.
Okay, so what does he actually do?
He doesn't come in until the very end in case there is a dispute
Okay,
between the lawyer and the person who's being.
so what's the lawyer gonna do?
So basically the blight ordinance allows the town to tell the people there's a blight and enforce a blight at $100 a day.
Has that happened to,
It happened as of about 30 days ago for the first time ever. And I have at least one more in process. So, yes,
okay, so,
I will do my best on that to follow up on that, okay?
all right, so
I have to give someone time when I send out a blight letter.
I
So
understand that.
I'm giving Mr. Dean the month of July, okay? That's what I said. I'd like the property to be respectable in July.
Okay, what about the respectable house?
That's
what
what I'm
about-
talking about, is the house.
Oh, I'm talking about the backyard that's just littered with
So I can
crapola.
only, the blight ordinance only applies to what you can see from the road, from public view.
Okay, so in November, it's gonna be public view because you can see everything from
But
the road.
I think there's probably enough there right now that I'm less concerned.
So is he gonna be made to finish his house and get the scaffolding down and get a normal CO that normal people have to have?
One would think, yes. Okay,
Okay, all right, so who's this land use? Because she and I are gonna have words.
hopefully in a very civil manner.
This is civil, trust me.
Okay. Lynette Wacker, inland wetlands, okay? She's in the land use department,
Okay,
okay?
okay, okay, so 123 is still Greg Chapman.
Yes,
And he's doing the same thing along my daughter's lot line
okay,
with the fencing, which we can't do anything about at the present time. But he is stacking up all these trees, stumps, bushes along this high, just like around the pond. That qualifies as decay. It's right here. He's just mounting this stuff up, Carl. I know you wouldn't want it around your house. Would you want your borders to have this deep of rotting branches, stumps, trees, evergreens? I mean, the man's nuts, for one thing.
all right, you're actually in a public meeting and you're being recorded.
Oh, okay, so I know him because he's my nephew. Unfortunately.
Okay.
So, he's got this obsession of bordering his whole property with this stuff. Now he's doing it on Burke's property line. It's just decaying, rotting stuff.
Okay, is it visible from the road?
Of course it is. Take a walk, take a ride around the pond and just
How
look.
do you ride around the pond? You have to be on private property, wouldn't you?
The pond is on both.
I know it is, yeah.
But, well, that's where all the stuff is.
I've seen it, I've driven it, I've
Okay.
looked specifically at it.
Okay.
I mean, it looks
Now,
like,
that pond was built as a bird sanctuary. It was even in the paper at one time. My father built that pond.
okay,
I know I know legally that fence should not be there,
Okay,
because otherwise somebody's lying here
okay,
from what I heard before. And my daughter said it should at least be 150 feet from that pond.
okay.
It's what, 5 feet, if that. And my
Yeah.
daughter's lot line, she's gonna be selling that house. You know, it's blight. It's blight. Why do we have blight regulations? If not, you know, if you can't enforce this stuff, it's just,
So decay usually deals with a decaying house. It could qualify as debris, but
okay,
it's gonna be very
debris.
difficult to enforce that. Very
Why?
difficult, because it looks like it's fallen from the trees, basically.
No,
It's a
no,
very-
no, no,
okay.
no.
You know what?
No,
Okay, so
no.
Claudia, let's, hear me out 1 second. Why don't you go up, talk to Lynette, okay? And we have a lot on our agenda, so,
I know,
all right?
I
Talk to
know.
Lynette. Mr. Dean has gotten the notice, okay?
Carl, I am not gonna go away on
I'm not
this.
asking you to go away, but we're in public comment and we have other things to cover too.
I
Like,
know.
try to not go too long. on
I
public
understand that. I just would like somebody to enforce this.
comment. See what Lynette says, okay?
All right. So she's gone for the day,
I
I'm
don't know
sure.
if she is or not. I have
Well,
no
I don't
idea.
want to bother her when she's going home.
I
I'll
don't know.
contact her tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so there's no other comment from the public. We will move on to, and I did not prepare many comments from the selectmen, just so you know. I just emailed Amanda. I meant to email her earlier. The feasibility study is complete. So I thought it might be good to have a presentation on it. Feasibility for the library?
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Yeah. And that, I forget how big, I forget what the budget, I know the town had to put in about 17,000 in kind services, but anyway, so she'll present that to us, okay? I know the lights are scheduled to be delivered on like July 11th. A lot gonna go on over those 2 weeks, a lot. It's craziness, what has to go on. So might be something to just watch, keep an eye out.
Yeah.
Matt, did you have anything?
I just wanted to comment on the mural right across from Town Hall.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Rivermart building. I mean, and just, you know, congratulate the 2 teachers that were leading it, Hannah Newton and Sarah Menga, and the Old Saybrook Public Schools. It looks phenomenal. Great work by the artists. And I know that the kids really enjoyed being able to participate, you know, at the different levels. Never had my kids ask me so many times to go down to Main Street and stare at something. They wanted to go see the progress, you know, every day. So
Yeah.
it's really
Well, I was
awesome.
actually able to see it every day,
Yeah.
obviously, because I go home that way and come back that way, and it went up so fast.
I mean, it's amazing in 1 week to do all
Yeah.
of that and to do it so well.
Yeah.
And incorporate all the people and
Mhm.
entertain everybody along the way.
Listen, it was a blank wall before, and now it's a very colorful, awesome.
Piece of art.
And just so the board knows, you know, Lynette Wacker, again, has been very involved in sustainability, and I am doing the CCM, what is it, equity thing. It's a 3-part. I'm doing it. Amanda's doing it, and members of various commissions were invited to do it. So we have like 10, we have a bunch of people doing it, so we'll get additional sustainability. But I'm doing 3 classes over the summer. They're like 9 to 12, I think.
Yeah.
Did you,
I did it last summer.
is it through CCM?
Yep.
And it was 3 sessions?
Well, it was through Sustainable CT.
Yeah, it's through sustain, yeah.
So I think
no,
it's
no,
like a
That's
partnership
what I meant.
thing.
I
Yeah.
meant, through sustainable CT, I don't know why I said CCM. Yeah, okay, so I'll be doing that, just so you know, and I know that mural is related to, you know, it's kind of
Public art,
along
yeah,
that
it's
same
great.
theme. So I just wanted to make that public also, sustainable CT. equity training, I think it is, right?
I think so, yeah.
Was yours 3 sessions?
It was.
Yeah, okay, that's what I'm doing. And to get the points, it had to be someone in management, which, you know, we can argue you are too, but, and then a director, and then citizens. So Chris Costa was like, why don't we just put it out to the commissions?
Yeah.
And many members of the land use commissions were like, yeah, we'll do it.
It's great.
Yeah, it is great. It's great, actually good. I thought I'd tell you that. Okay. The minutes, so, why don't we, I'll move approval of the minutes from June 14th. Second. Okay, second by Scott. So I did receive an email from Dan Welch, believing that he did not believe my minutes. I think that's what he said, properly reflected the 4 points he made. You know, minutes are not, you know, word for word. I'm willing to, I mean, I know he spoke for a little while, and so I'm willing to incorporate those so we can amend the minutes to reflect the 4 points that Mr. Welch made, that he would like reflected in the minutes. So I'll move that amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of the amendment? Aye. Those in favor of the minutes, are there any?
Can I
Yeah.
make an amendment?
Yeah.
I had specifically said regarding the gun buyback program that I'd like to have that on a future agenda. to
Okay.
discuss.
All
So,
right, let me just, Welch, and then, please see. Future agenda,
mhm.
and with those 2 amendments, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Matt, I'm gonna designate to you to work with the chief on that, stay in touch with him on that.
Sure.
Okay, and you can report back.
Great, will do.
Before we get into the contract. Oh, you know what? She did give me, oh, she dropped off. I'm sorry. So you don't keep it on the agenda for the next meeting. I'm looking at what's in there. Okay. So this is from Amanda. This is the strategic plan, which incorporates, it looks like, some ideas from the feasibility study. Yeah, it's a feasibility study. So there we have it. Why don't we, for next meeting, put it on the agenda, okay? All right, before we go any further, because I don't want to forget, we need to add to the agenda 6 notices and policy statements that we should be doing every year. We didn't do it last year. I think it fell through the cracks, but the estuary is applying for a grant and they need this to be reflected through the town because it's a government grant. And it's the Fair Housing Resolution, Fair Housing Policy Statement, Title VI Equal Opportunity Statement, the Municipal Grievance Procedure, the Affirmative Action Policy Statement, and we need to recertify the ADA notice. So I'm gonna ask you, can we do this and I'll pass them out to you after?
No.
Because we've done them before. They're listed, they have, I'll tell the board, they haven't changed a bit.
Mhm.
These are the same 6 we do every year. They're up there, they're just dated incorrectly. These are from 2 years ago. So you can imagine the Fair Housing Resolution, prior, that the Old Saybrook Board of Selectmen endorses a fair housing policy to ensure equal opportunity for all persons to rent, purchase, obtain financing, and enjoy all other housing-related services of their choice on a non-discriminatory basis as provided for federal law. That's what fair housing resolution is. The fair housing policy statement says it's our policy to promote fair housing opportunities and to encourage racial and economic integration in all its programs and housing development activities. Programs funded and administered by the town must comply with provisions of 46A, 64C of the Connecticut statutes and related state and federal laws. If the town of Old Saybrook may be a subrecipient, and we will carry out affirmative marketing program to attract prospective buyers or tenants of all majority or minority groups without consideration of race, color, religion, sex, origin, ancestry, creed, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, marital status, lawful source of income, disability, age, or because the individual has children in all programs and housing development activities funded or administered by the town of Old Saybrook. So that's, and then any complaints can be filed here and at the CHRO.
CHRO.
Commission on Human Rights and Opinions. Title VI, simple, prohibits discrimination on the grounds of race, color, or national origin in programs and activities receiving federal financial assistance. Title VI provides that no person shall, on grounds of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be otherwise subject to discrimination under any programs covered by the regulations. The policy is effectuated through the methods of administration outlined in the town's fair housing plan and is fully implemented to ensure compliance by the town of Old Saybrook as the recipient and by subrecipients. The cooperation of all personnel is required. Municipal grievance procedure. Oh, okay. So we're required under the ADA to have appoint somebody to receive any discrimination complaints, and that is Heather McNeil. And Heather, within 15 days of receiving a complaint, will meet with the complainant to discuss possible resolutions. And if that doesn't satisfy that person, they may appeal to the first selectman or his designee, and I have to hold a hearing. So that is the municipal grievance procedure for the ADA. The affirmative action policy statement is much longer. And we've been doing this for many years, but it's a commitment to undertake positive actions to overcome the present effects of past practices or barriers to equal employment opportunity and to achieve full and fair participation of minorities, women, people with disabilities, older persons, and all of the protected groups. And then it says, I, as first selectman, recognize the hiring difficulties experienced by minorities, people with disabilities, and we want to set goals to present the effects of past discrimination, if any, to achieve the full and fair utilization of such persons in the workforce. And I pledge that the town of Old Saybrook will affirmatively provide services and programs in a fair and impartial manner. When adverse impact is identified, the town will review its personnel policies and procedures to ensure unnecessary barriers are removed, explore alternative approaches to employ minorities and members of protected classes, administer all terms and conditions, privileges, and benefits of the employment process in an equitable manner, and establish procedures for the extra effort that may be necessary to ensure that recruitment and hiring of protected group members reflect their availability in the job market. That we should provide equal employment opportunities without consideration of race, color, religion, marital, sex, national origin, genetic information, past, present history of mental disability, ancestry, mental retardation, learning or physical disabilities, including, not limited to, blindness, sexual orientation should be in learning or physical disabilities. Political belief or criminal record, that's awkwardly stated, but we take this from, it's not something we draft. The town will implement, monitor, and enforce the affirmative action policy and its statement in conjunction with all federal and state laws. And it will be given to all Old Saybrook employees and posted throughout the town, which it is, and always has been. And the town of Old Saybrook does not, this is the ADA note, it's just a notice that we don't discriminate on the basis of disability in its hiring or employment practices. And that's the ADA notice. You know, Georgianne, so what happened is the estuary contacted me and said, I don't know, they're applying for a CDBG loan. And they said, they need, because that has to do, it's governmental money, the town they're in has to have updated policies or policies that have been passed in the last year. So I sent that off to Georgianne to send it over to Heather Millardo over at the estuary. She said they're a little bit out of date. They're over a year old. So she gave me these today.
Okay.
That's why you're getting them today. That's why you don't have them. It's not for any other reason. Do you need, how do you feel about that?
Well, and I mean, I would prefer to be able to see it, to see if I have any specific questions. It's hard to follow and see if there's anything that we
Yeah.
should be changing when we're passing it, or, you know, if language doesn't seem right. You know, I don't want to
So-
at the same time, though, hamper the ability of an organization in town to submit for a deadline.
So I honestly don't think there'll be any disagreement, but why don't we pass them? They can be amended, but these are standard documents, like, we're not changing them.
Okay.
I mean, but why don't you take a look at them? And if you have any proposed amendments, we can take a look at it, and if it's appropriate, we can amend it. Sorry to do that to you.
No.
I mean, I'd prefer to do it that way so that they can move on.
Yeah,
But they're policies and resolutions, they can
So
be
in the
amended
past, we have
every
adopted
year.
those,
like-
and we just skipped a year, and the text is something that's provided to us, or is it text that was designed 3, 4, 5
Nope.
years?
Mike Cronin nor I have designed this. This is something we're getting from on high. To do this. And what I can do, I mean, we can make sure they're more current. I just hate to wait, like you said.
I mean, I don't want to, I understand
That's the
the
thing.
deadlines. I'd rather not hold up an organization, but, you know, I'm not trying to be difficult. It's just I'd like to be able to read something before
Yeah.
I pass it.
Trying
So I am fine with
to think.
castle.
So we meet on 12. You know what I could do? I mean, I could ask Heather when her deadline is, if you want, and if we have to, we can have a quick meeting to do this. You know, I mean, it's not gonna be any skin off my nose. You guys wouldn't have to come in. We can make it a one agenda.
So if she needs it before the next meeting, we can do a virtual meeting. If not, we can hold off to the next meeting. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it depends when she's applying for the grant, and I may ask her right now. I don't know that her deadline is this Friday.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I don't have a problem putting it off.
Okay.
Let me just see if I can. All right.
I do have a question, because you said there are all these policies are posted, but the ones that are like the fair housing piece, which would be about a resident or a potential resident
Yeah.
looking to buy a house, where is that posted that it's accessible, like in terms of like making a complaint in that process? Is it available on the town website or only in the office?
So, I think all these are posted. like we have them in the copy room. I think we have it on the bulletin board out there.
Okay,
In addition to that, I think they're on the town website.
okay.
But if they're not, they will be.
Great.
All right, so I'll tell you what, we didn't make a motion, so we don't have to table it.
Okay.
Okay? But we'll bring that up for next time. I'll check with her. Okay? Okay, ask me contract. So I'm just gonna accept the motion to ratify it, second, then I'll just kind of go over it. You guys got this, right? You should have. No, you didn't get it.
I have the.
Do you mind if I just go over the changes with you? I mean, contracts are public documents. So I'm gonna make a motion to ratify the ASME 1303-278 general government contract July 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. So in discussion, I'm gonna just tell you, and I'm happy to send over both the red line copy and the clean copy after. It'll be filed with the town clerk also. So a couple things. For overtime, so there's a section on overtime, and it says they get 1.5 hours for overtime. What we allow for flex time during the week. So if you, like Georgianne works 35 hours, she may leave one day at 4 and say, I'm just gonna work late tomorrow. She shouldn't get overtime the next day. So we corrected that in the contract. So they get 1.5 hours of overtime,
Over and
unless
above
they're
35
flexing.
hours.
unless
Not within
they're,
a
unless
day.
she's flexing.
Okay.
And it's usually it's in the same week, okay? The other issue we had was, the support union contract basically said that Saturday and Sunday, if you work Saturdays and Sundays, it's like time and a half. But Jonathan Paradise, he works Saturdays. And so we were like, we got to correct this. So work your normal work week. If you're normally scheduled to work on a weekend, it's not overtime and it's not anything extra. So there were some just language issues that we needed to clarify initially. 2 years ago or a year ago, there was a complaint at Public Works saying that the guys, everybody below Larry is in the support union. They didn't know what order they were going to get called for overtime. And they thought maybe some guys were not getting called in a rotation. So now we have a system that we did an MOA a year ago, which are incorporating into the agreement now. And basically what it is Larry tells Georgianne, Mike Pace came in for overtime. Mike now goes to the bottom of the list. Georgianne has just a Word document. We flip it. She sends it to me and Larry posts it. I have it in case Georgianne is in here, so I can do it. That's incorporated into the contract. As for overtime, you can use, a paid holiday is an 8-hour day or 7-hour day in some circumstances. That counts. So if you work, if it's a Monday and you work more than 40 hours that week, the holiday counts. You shouldn't be penalized because it was a holiday that week. So basically we're allowing holiday time, personal days, which they're entitled to 3, comp time, and vacation days to be counted into the normal 40-hour work week. So if you can use a vacation day on Wednesday, if you work overtime that week, you get at 42 hours, your vacation day counts as part of your work week. Sick time does not. So we removed sick time from there because we didn't want sick time in there and they agreed to that. That was one of our things.
Okay.
2.5 raises every year.
Okay.
2.5 starting July 1, 2021, which they're going to get this week, and 2.5 next year, 2.5 the year after. When we first started negotiating this, inflation wasn't as big a deal, honestly, because it's been that long. As it turns out, that's probably not terribly unreasonable at this point, this contract. I bet at the very least 2.25, 2.5, 2.5, maybe even more. I'll be curious to see if these numbers start going up. But that's what we gave them for raises.
And that raise is just contractual, it's regardless of performance.
It's regardless of performance. The healthcare, one of the things we wanted this year was prior authorization for physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech therapy. And to use the Anthem Essential Formulary Plan. So if you take a medicine or a prescription drug, we want it to be in Anthem's formulary where they get a discount. So that was a thing that our broker said was important and would count towards a lower premium. They agreed to that. We reduced the cost share of insurance from 15% to 14%. One thing our brokers tell us, cost share, while important, doesn't really affect the premium all that much. So they were less concerned with that. We have a high deductible health plan, 2,500, 5,000, 2,500 for a single, 5,000 for a family. The town will contribute 37.5%. So for me, let's say if it was, I get if the 20, there's a $2,500 deductible. The town would give the support union person a third of that to go into their health savings account. That goes down to 35% in year 3. So that's, that's pretty, it's on the lower end.
Yeah, because that's very normal that that's at 50%. I know that, in Portland where I was, they paid half and I think Saybrook pays half.
Yeah, they're currently at 37.5%. So the fiscal year we're now, next fiscal year, it stays the same, and that goes down in the third year. The one thing from an actuarial point of view, in this union, in the support union, in the police union, they were all able, if they wanted to buy health insurance. Well, not the police, forget the police for that. They could, so if somebody retired at 55 and it's subsequent to 2004, they're not entitled to health insurance upon retirement. Like someone like Larry Bonin is, Chris Costa is. They're entitled to health insurance until they get to Social Security. That got sunsetted back in 2004. But you could purchase it. You could pay the full cost if you chose to. We eliminated that. And the reason we eliminated that in all our contracts is the actuaries are other post-employment benefits. The actuaries have to say that they have to assume that almost every person will buy it. So it increased our actuarial liability. This was an easy one to look because no one does it. But it increased our OPEB liability significantly. So you'll see that come down as we move forward, which is good. We have an incentive plan. If you do all your colonoscopies and all that stuff, you get 1% off your cost share. We did get a minor contribution towards the pension. They contribute 5%. This is DC or DB. They contribute 5% now. It goes 5.25% in 2023. If you're using a personal automobile for town business, Larry does that, for instance. He has to submit a certificate of insurance to the town annually before receiving any mileage reimbursement. Our union asked if the town could have a dependent care account. We looked into that and we said as long as you fund it, it'll be entirely funded by the employees. The town will not be contributing to that. But if they want to have something deducted from their wages, we'll hold it in an account. a dependent care account,
And that's for an individual employee to do that.
yes.
Okay.
At no cost to the town.
Yeah.
Vacation is front-loaded on July 1. However, if you don't use it and you retire from the town, it's prorated, obviously. You don't get paid out for your vacation time for that year. That's new in the contract. These are small things. We don't have a lot of abuse. You know what I mean? They're just small things, but they're like just tightening up the language a little bit. Vacation eligibility does not accrue during a leave of absence, obviously, but if you're on FMLA, that's vacation, you do get vacation eligibility and you're on FMLA. Just so you know, we now allow vacation time, sick time to be taken in 1 hour increments. And the reason is we want people to use it.
Yeah.
And I said, Pat McCall and I were talking about it, I'm like, he's like, Carl, if they want to use it in 1 hour, let them. Right. It's good for the town. They won't. One thing we have it. We have something called a sick bank here.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna read it to you. You ever read it?
I haven't read ours, but I'm familiar
This
with
is like, it's so complicated. So we said I shouldn't say it, but in negotiations, we went to the union and we said, listen, we'll just give you the time. We'll just, if you are that sick, we will say, get whatever the days, it's like 60 days or however long. It's the same thing. We said, let's do it in one sentence. They wouldn't agree to it. They want it, and we have this language in here that, it's a bookkeeping nightmare. We're just trying to simplify it, but they didn't happen. I was very disappointed with that because I'm like, it's just ridiculous. Personal leave can be taken in 1 hour increments too. Bereavement leave, we added some things. So special leave not to exceed 5 working days with pay shall be granted an employee in the event of death of a spouse. We added domestic partner
Mhm.
who has lived with the employee at least 12 months.
Okay.
This provision shall apply to stepchildren, step-parents, and step-siblings. That is added language, just so you know. We also are allowing, obviously this happened a lot in COVID. If you say, well, the funeral services are out of state and they're next year, you can do it next year. You don't have to do it immediately following the death. That was added. Didn't seem unreasonable. We up from 2 to 3 weeks notice of layoff. I don't think that wasn't a deal breaker for us. We incorporated some things just bi-weekly basis. Everybody gets their, we changed it. People were paid bi-weekly. However, they got their paycheck at the end of the second week. We've changed that in the last, for accounting purposes, so that you work 2 weeks, then you get paid the following Friday for those 2 weeks. That way overtime can be incorporated into the paycheck. Because when it ended on that Friday, and let's say you had overtime that Thursday night, it wasn't gonna be, and you'd have to wait 2 weeks to get your overtime. So that is something we wanted to do, and we said to the union, it's totally in your interest to do.
So it's really then the lag starts for a new employee when they first start.
Yes.
They work 2 weeks and they don't get paid then.
That's correct.
They have to go, but how did you do that for everybody else?
We said to them, we're gonna pay you for the week that you're not getting paid.
Mhm.
And but you have to pay us back, and you can do it in sick time or any other time.
Okay.
So that's what we did.
Okay.
It was a one-time
Yeah, just
thing.
get everybody onto the same cycle.
Exactly.
Well, I guess you gotta do it.
Yeah, it made Liam so happy. Like, we said to people, if they have approval from us, you can get continuing education. Okay, we want that.
Mhm.
In-
That
in-
the town.
Yeah,
will
we pay
cover?
for it. I mean, we're not paying for anybody to get their MBA.
Right.
We're paying for people to get additional accounting training. We're paying for some folks in the assessor's office to get their training to become an assessor.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
It's relatively inexpensive to do that. So, but we want that. I mean, we want to encourage that.
Mhm.
And I would not approve, I would not approve an MPA or an MBA program for 2 years that's gonna cost $50,000. We're literally talking $600 for classes.
Yeah.
They wanted a town email address for all employees. That actually costs us about $3 an email per month, but we're doing it. That was something they really wanted. Oh, and then the last thing we wanted, which we did get, it says under town management rights, it says these rights include but are not limited to subcontract custodial work performed at the town hall, the Acton Library, and the Old Saybrook Firehouse, which we're doing. And it said no current employee shall be laid off as a result of this action. They all retired. So we seized on that opportunity. And the vacuum you hear in the back is the subcontracting that's going on. Over at the library, we entered into a contract with a cleaning service. We put it out to bid.
Mhm.
And Amanda's pretty happy with it. 6 days a week. In fact, she was able to get rid of her other cleaner. She had 2 cleaners. She had Wayne and she had someone coming in. Now we just have 1 service. So a lot of money saved there, to be honest with you, a lot. And that'll be reflected in the 24 budget. You'll see that. So, basically, medical raises, the subcontractor was something that I really held out for because I wanted that a year ago before we got any retirements, and in the interim, we got 2. So it kind of worked out that way. That's why it says no current employee shall be affected by this, because at the time, Paul and Wayne were still working. It was actually something I was gonna go to arbitration on, because I thought people were very unhappy with the services being provided. Those are the substantive changes. I'm apologizing. Those are the substantive changes. I will send you, as soon as I get back, the clean version and the red line version, okay? If you have any questions, bring it up.
So I just have a process question.
Yeah.
So the union has already
Ratified, yes. So Leanne begged, she said, can you get this on your Board of Selectmen meeting next week so that we can close out the year having paid that for
take care
this
of
year?
their current fiscal year increases, adjustments during this.
So that they can get it done, yeah.
Makes sense.
Um,
Carl, I'm not trying to be difficult here. Is a document like this supposed to be posted on the website with our agenda that it's available to the public? Or?
oh, it's not, it wasn't available until now. Until we ratified, it's not.
Okay, got it. So it's not that it's on our agenda to be considered, but afterwards.
Yes,
Got it.
not to be posted. It will be filed tomorrow,
Yep, okay.
or once we get a fully executed document. All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
To ratify, thank you. Appreciate that. And I know we're coming up on time here, so couple bond release at 380 Main Street. That's a house for sale right down here. Again, Joe Desatel owned it. Now some folks bought it. It looks like they're selling it. So I'll move approval of the bond release. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Connecticut River Gateway Commission. Let's do both of them. William Webb and Diane Stover. I will say this much. Diane loves it, and Bill Webb seems to really like Diane. too. He's like, that was a great appointment. So they seem happy. They seem to be working well together.
I know Bill likes doing it. So.
So it seems like everything's going well with these two. So I will move to appoint Bill Webb and Diane Stover. It
Second,
looks like it's simultaneous. Is there a second?
second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then we have the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments vacancy. That's Michael Bender. That I'll nominate. Is there a second?
Second.
So this is for their planning. I think it's for their planning commission, regional planning commission. We already have this is an alternate position, as I recall. Sure, Chris Costa looked at it. I'm forgetting who the member is. I clarified that with Michael. Were you on that email? And I said it's an alternate. Yeah. So he said he was happy to do it. So I appreciate that. So the moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And at this point, any other comments?
Can I go back to the support union contract? Because it's just to connect to a point that I've made twice during this year.
Yes.
Going back to look at having further conversation with them about an evaluation and career development plan as part of it.
What I'm gonna do. I'll send an email out to Pat and say, reach out to Tricia and see if they'd be willing to negotiate. We're a year into the contract, so there's no, sometimes there are MOUs added. So we'll reach out.
Great, thank you.
Okay, so we are going to, at this point, just suspend the meeting.